The cornerstone of Kenya's economy is agriculture, which employs around 80% of the population, contributes 29% of the GDP, and accounts for over 50% of the country's export earnings. The areas around Nairobi are prime agricultural lands. Unfortunately, corruption in the Inspectorate Service in Nairobi and the nearby counties threaten to wipe out markets and livelihoods for 80% of the population. The principal food crops that the communities are engaged in are maize, sorghum, cassava, beans, and fruit. Cash crops such as coffee are grown by small-scale farmers. Horticulture is a new agricultural growth sector. Flour exports are an important source of foreign exchange. Sadly, there is just too many geopolitical complexities and vested interest in the country's agriculture, and the neighboring countries have an interest in maintaining the weak governance structures in the region's food markets. Corruption in Nairobi markets is a food security threat with national security implications. It is this awareness that necessitated the establishment of Nairobi Metropolitan Service Improvement Project, aimed at protecting livelihoods of those who feed, live, and work in Nairobi.
...83 vehicles ambazo zilikuwa zimelala hapa, na vile nimesema zingine kwa private garages. Colonel na maofisa wake na askari wake wameweza kuzitengeneza na kuzirudisha kwa barabara zilizofanyie wananchi wa Nairobi kazi kwa shilingi milioni 22, 22 million shillings. Bei ya gari moja. Bei ya gari moja. Hongera KDF. Hongera. Hongera KDF. Hongera. If all of us in Kenya operated and behaved and loved and served their country in the manner in which our Kenya Defense Forces does, Kenya would be today a great country.
Much of the agricultural produce that feeds Nairobi and Mombasa are cheap imports from the neighboring countries. Agricultural produce are dumped in the country with contraband goods concealed as legitimate trade. Contraband subsidizes the cost of imports. Unfortunately, for consumers, cheaper tends to come with a lower price and a higher cost, and this is true. Cheaper is more expensive. For instance, in June this year, the Central Bank of Kenya warned that close to 70% of small businesses were likely to close business due to the impact of COVID-19. There is fear that with porous borders, the country could be faced with increased risk of entrenched underground economies, pushed by criminal syndicates from the neighboring countries, partnering with local criminal groups. Illicit trade in counterfeit goods and uninspected food products puts the health and safety of consumers at risk, while the country also loses billions of shillings in government revenue. The syndicates also strengthen corruption structures at the ports and border points. To mitigate this problem, government and its partners are pursuing multiple initiatives. This includes strengthening governance structures in parastatals that are key to recovery phase post-COVID-19. Government is on the right direction, working with corporates to operationalize credit guarantee schemes for small businesses. It is my hope that small businesses that will seek credit guarantees should be required to satisfy a criteria that includes buying Kenyan products. Trading in locally produced products will keep jobs in the country. Formalizing and digitizing marketplaces is also important in stemming revenue leakage. Nairobi Metropolitan Services is doing a great job of building resilience from the ground up, putting in place markets and supportive infrastructure, strengthening cooperation between agencies and international partners to fight poverty, disrupt cross-border crime, and keep illicit trade out of Nairobi markets. Support small businesses to recover from the ravages of the pandemic and instill the culture of honesty in order to grow and formalize their businesses. Corporates are also chipping in, contributing to economic resilience, an initiative to support small outlets recover. U.S. government through USAID advanced $7 million for expanding locally led conservation work in the Kenya ecosystem and help the targeted communities recover from economic losses from the COVID-19. This also included the launch of the new $3 million program that invests in Kenyan women entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses, increasing the access to finance. And for example, in one of the counties near Nairobi that is semi-arid, corporates such as Coca-Cola and Amref have partnered with the county government of Laikipia to support over 80,000 traders, with 18,000 traders earmarked to benefit from the first phase to be launched this month. Securing food systems and supplies is critical to recovery. In January, a number of peanuts and popular maize flour brands were banned from shelves by Kenya Bureau of Standards after it was found to have more than required levels of aflatoxin, but have so far been cleared after complying. Authorities in Kenya allow 10 parts per billion as the limit for cancer-causing aflatoxin that is mainly harbored in grains. A suspected aflatoxic outbreak was reported in Tanzania in 2019. The World Health Organization, WHO, was informed of the situation by the Ministry of Health late June 2019. Higher aflatoxin levels in maize saw National Cereal Board destroy 122,625 bags of 50 kilos of maize between April and August this year, after toxic levels exceeded the required minimum. Contaminated maize was dumped in the country from the regional markets and mixed with the local produce. Kenya is losing millions of dollars by inadequately investing in adding value to agriculture and livestock products in the country. COVID-19 crisis has accelerated the policy initiatives to address the bottlenecks derailing growth in the sector. Tanzania accounts for 70% of Kenya's agricultural imports, with cereals valued at 65 million. This fall calls for collaborative efforts to ensure mitigation of aflatoxin in agricultural produce. This will be difficult if your neighbors don't want to believe there's a problem. African farmers lose up to $650 million annually from lost exports due to aflatoxins. There's a lot of criminality in agricultural exports. Cross-border trade in produce is informal and has been infiltrated by criminal groups. For example, a few days ago, 8th October 2020, ITV Tanzania reported that police in Kilimanjaro region, where Namanga border post is located, intercepted a truckload of counterfeit mobile phones worth millions concealed in plantain consignment. Plantain is a type of green banana which can be cooked and eaten as a vegetable. What's particularly interesting is that Tanzania exports a lot of bananas and plantains, fresh or dried, to Kenya, worth $55 million, according to 2018 figures provided by United Nations Comtrade database on international trade. There's always been a concern that traffickers have infiltrated cross-border trade, targeting legitimate trade to conceal contraband. A case in point is the incident of abuse of trust, with farmers engaging in unfair trade practices to disadvantage Kenyan farmers, using contraband profits as subsidies to dump agricultural produce in Nairobi. It is easy to spot cross-border criminal networks. A trader who trades in imported vegetables and operates an electronic outlet is a red flag. Often these are the traders who control market spaces, use their influence to maintain retail outlets to these trans-regional criminal networks. Fortunately, Kenya now appreciates the nexus between agricultural imports and the smuggling of counterfeit goods. Impressively, the Ministry of East African Community in Kenya is working on formalizing cross-border trade. Government has set aside 200 acres of land to build a market in collaboration with Kajiado County government. The market is set to enhance trade between Kenya and Tanzania, promote value addition and spur economic growth, and eliminate suspicions. The market will allow labs to perform aflatoxin testing in support of domestic and export trade of agricultural produce.
Hilo jambo la mpaka litaleta, kama vile umesema, litaleta changamoto mpya, sababu kuna chakula kingi ambazo huletwa kutoka Tanzania kwa masoko yetu hasa hapa Nairobi. Lakini hiyo nasema ni opportunity kwa wakulima kuchukua hiyo ngapu ambayo imeletwa, kulima zaidi na kuleta chakula. Kwa hivyo tunatazama hilo jambo, tuone hiyo ngapu ambayo italetwa na kutopata chakula kutoka nchi jirani, tunaweza kupata wapi kwingine, kwa sababu hatuna jirani moja, tuko na jirani wengi. Tuko na jirani hapa Uganda, tuko na jirani hapa Ethiopia. In fact, chakula kingi pia kutoka Ethiopia. Tunatazama tuone kama na chakula ambayo haipatikani hapa nchini ya kutosha, ni njia gani tutaweza kuhakikisha imefika. Kwa hivyo yule atakuwa na changamoto kubwa ni yule ambaye alikuwa anauza hapa na sasa hiyo soko hana. Yule mkulima ambaye alikuwa anajisaidia kuja kuuza nyanya na onions na yale mazao mengine hapa kwa soko hii kubwa, ndiye atakuwa na changamoto kubwa. Sisi tutahakikisha na tunapanga kuhakikisha hakuna mwanya kwa kupatikana kwa chakula hapa nchini.